Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, my friends. Good evening. How are we today? Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's good. It is a rainy Thursday afternoon over here, and I hope everyone's doing pretty good. Pretty good. July 10th. July 10th. No podcast today. Both Phil and I had some stuff to do through the morning. We'll be back on Monday. We'll be back with the double podcast weeks, probably next week or the following. Just had some stuff we've had to take care of. But yeah, but no podcast today. So this is what we've got today. Been busy all morning. Was my wife's birthday, so doing the duties there, spending time, all of that, doing the things there. Hot as hell over there. Yeah, you guys got a big old heat wave that we've got. So a few things today to discuss. Very, very, very interesting. You guys are a bunch of NPCs. This guy has horrible takes. I think calling people NPCs is the biggest Andrew Tate University red flag there is out there, by the way. Anyway, yeah, a few things going on there. I want to talk obviously about Garnacho because there was a bit of a confusing story that was in the news that I was able to clarify and can continue to clarify. And obviously some money from Alvaro Fernandez coming in. I did a sort of a late night stream last night talking about quite a few things. May touch on some of that as well. No, it was a comment I removed. Yeah, like, people who call everybody NPCs because they don't like their opinions. It's kind of funny. It's one of those like red flags when someone uses those certain like languages where they're gonna be like, you're all NPCs, man. But yeah, we'll share a few things. We'll talk about Mbumo, some comments from Laurie Whitwell and others. So on that too, that I think are worth mentioning, worth talking about. So yeah, there's a few things. There's a few things we should discuss. There's a few things we should discuss, I think. What you say? Fabrizio just uploaded a video. Did he? Or I think he did. Was it? Did he like 2 minutes ago? I don't see anything he just uploaded, so maybe not. Smash the like button. Yes, thank you. Please do hit the like button. All of that as well. Yes, thank you. As we get in here, let me put that poll up, and then we'll start with Garnacho. And then I'm gonna do some polls today. Make this a creative option. There we go. Let's do that. Boom. There you go. Just a tier 6. Keep it going. Give me the higher numbers. Goldbridge indirectly keeps on. I mean, it is what it is. I think Neil was just joking, Marcus, for what it's worth, but it's okay. But yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to that left back thing. So yeah, look, on Alejandro Garnacho, obviously there was a little bit of a confusing story that came out from the from probably his side, I would suppose, in terms of media, saying that Garnacho was cleared to Garnacho was cleared to return to training, to all of that. And it was a little bit ambiguous as to how it was being reported, because Garnacho is cleared to return to training at Carrington in the same way that Marcus Rashford has been cleared to return and did to Carrington to train. They're welcome back. And I confirmed this. That's why I put a tweet out about this. Here, I'll pull the tweet up. No change in the situation around Garnacho. No plans at this point to return to team training. He is able and welcome to return to Carrington and train, similar to Marcus Rashford. So that's the situation. He can come back to England, train at Carrington, has access to the facilities, can do fitness and work and whatever he wants there, and will be supported in that. But there's been no change from the prior plans of him returning to team training, and the same obviously goes for the other 4 players. We will talk about Antony too. Because there's a bit of an update there as well. So yeah, no changes in that aspect at all. So just making that very, very clear. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When I saw that story, I was like, that's really concerning. I criticize when I feel valid to criticize on things. If they had brought back Garnacho into the team 4 days after kicking him out, and with everything that has happened, I was ready, man. I was ready. In Discord, I was like, this is a disaster if that's the case. If they U-turned on us that quickly, if they, messed it up that quickly, it would have been a disaster. You would have seen a very heated. I was ready to go live and be extremely heated on that decision, but I figured, why don't I clarify this first? Because I thought this story was a little bit ambiguous. I wasn't sure if it was true or not, how true it was or what it actually meant. And I'm glad I did, because I would have been pretty upset. Is this not like the Sancho situation last summer? I'll tell you the difference, because I thought about that too. What if you brought Sancho back, Garnacho back in, train, because you're trying to sell him, right? And that's what you want to do. You're trying to preserve value and things like that. The problem is, it just happened. You know what I mean? That you can't fool anybody. It just happened. This happened a month ago. The Sancho situation originally occurred before new ownership was in. It preferred, it was before Wilcox was in the building. It was before any of the directors were in the building. And it was a whole year prior, right? So they could paint it as, hey, new people, new leadership, new everybody. Let's see if we can mend some fences and fix some of the problems of the past. You can't really do that now. You can't really do that today, because it just happened. Right now, same people in place, same coach, same Wilcox, same Barada, same everybody involved. It just happened. So they can't really do that with any of these players as well. Anything we can do to get them in breach of contract, we can't, and we won't. We're not going to get into like a legal, situation or anything like that. None of that. We can't do anything like that. And look, they have legal access to the facilities and things like that. But this is, I think, the extreme, the most extreme that they can be in terms of dealing with the players, is freezing them out. I don't know what else they can really do, to be quite honest, because they are able to return, and they are able to train, and they're contractually obligated that the club provides them with the facilities and to play. They have rights as players, they have unions and things. I mean, come on. So that's the most that they can really do. Calm down. Everything's okay.
Yesterday you said Spurs were behind. Inside 24 hours they are up and now with Forest who want Wissa. I am genuinely worried most days. Now's the time to put pressure on Ineos. Praying gesture emoji.
Yeah, Spurs made two signings. Good for them. I'm not particularly worried about Forest and Wissa. They bid less than half of what Brentford want. That part doesn't bother me. Not every single thing that happens is about United. Spurs made two signings. United have to hurry up and get Mbumo done. But not everything everybody else does is about United. It's not the center of the universe. But of course, United have to get Mbumo done. Of course, they have to get that over the line. I think we're all in agreement there. That being said, I think Morgan Gibbs-White and Kudus is pretty much on par for Spurs in terms of their signings. They spent 120 million on them. If we end up with Cunha and Mbumo and get 120 million for that, we've done significantly better. So long as they get that over the line, of course. It gets boring, like how many times you have to acknowledge, obviously, they have to get Mbumo over the line, right? But Mbumo and Cunha are much better signings than Gibbs-White and Kudus in that respect. So, you know, to me, that's fine. They can do what they want. It's pretty typical Spurs signings. They're signing a lot of players that will help them get into the, get sixth and spend a lot of money on players to get sixth. Like Gibbs-White, Kudus, they're not going to win you titles. They're not good enough to do that. I think we're targeting players that could be in a title-winning squad, and that I like in terms of that aspects of it all. But yeah, look, like it's not like, again, the thing that I say, they've got two good signings in the door for them. Good signings that will improve them. Good players, good Premier League proven players. That's good. It's not, they didn't do it in 2 days. I mean, that's the part where like I say, I think people got to, they had the exact same amount of time working on transfers that we have. So if Mbumo is done tomorrow, we've got two better signings than they've got in the same amount of time. They didn't sign two players in 2 days. They spent all of June not signing anyone when we already signed Cunha. They spent a lot longer than that. So we have to get a deal done there on Mbumo. But like there's only so many times people who are like preying on negativity really want you to acknowledge we've got to get Mbumo over the line. Nobody is saying that Cunha alone is enough. There's not a single person that has said that Cunha alone is enough or that Cunha alone is a success in the slightest. Mbumo and Cunha are not necessarily better. They are 100% better. 100% they are better. Both their signings had release clauses. I mean, yeah. And it took them until July 10th to pay release clauses, so whatever. Doesn't matter. They would be good signings, but ours are the ones we're targeting are definitely better, in my opinion. But we have to get it over. We have to get that done. Can we talk about how 2 academy graduates had been sold for a combined 100 million in under a week? Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is that Alvaro Fernandez was booted out of the team by Ten Hag when we had no left back. And that's insane. And we ended up playing Evans, Lindelof, Amrabat for the rest of the season, and we kept getting excuses. Ten Hag has no left back. Ten Hag has no left back. Ten Hag has no left back. That's why we're so shit. Ten Hag has no left back. Meanwhile, he kicked out a left back that is now at Real Madrid. So it is what it is. That happens. We can't make those kinds of mistakes anymore. Elanga is a significant overpay, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. I've seen enough Elanga. He's a good Premier League player. He is not a 60 million player, and he's just okay. We didn't buy back Alvaro, probably because our managers, never seen him. maybe he didn't want to come back after everything that happened, given that he had interest already from Real Madrid in January and potentially knew that he could come back, that he could go to Real Madrid at the end of the season. So yeah, it just is what it is. Obviously it wasn't, wasn't a situation for us. It just wasn't. That's just not the case. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that aspect. I think it's good that we made some money on it, but it's hard to know how that would have turned out had we dealt with it differently in the first place, for sure. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Think Kuna plays 10 or 9 against
10.
Leeds next week?
10. I think Xerxes will play in a team, most likely. Most likely. Next week when we play. You're okay, Neil. I'm pretty sure it was a joke, but that's okay. You can't buy him back and sell him. I hear that aspect, and I know that people brought that up, but you can't really do that. Like, you can, but you'd have to have the player agree to it, and they generally don't, because it doesn't do anything for them. Remember, a buyback is still contingent on players. Players have got to agree on moves and things like that. It gets really complicated when you start doing that, and it's not something that a lot of people would like, from it. It's sort of one of those things you're just not supposed to do, I guess, is all I'm saying. So we get some money there. Because a lot of times the player, like, yeah, I'm just telling you, it just doesn't happen, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't, because then you have to do it in different formats and different things, and there's issues with registrations and how many clubs you can play for in a certain amount of time, and the player has to agree to it, and all sorts of complexities in there. And then you have another issue, and you buy the player back, he agrees to join you, then you don't have a deal agreed with another club at that point in time. You can't. So no, Madrid had a similar player in a similar situation. Who's that left back? Miguel Gutierrez. Hold on. Miguel Gutierrez. What happened to him? They had a similar situation on a similar player, like, very recently. And they have a buyback on him. They have not exercised it to resell the player. It's just not something that clubs will do. So yeah, it's fine. Where was I going? So sorry, some people are missing a few things. But again, I think you only execute the buyback if you're willing to keep them, if you have a feeling that you're going to keep them. Because, or if you can convince them of that they're going to get a chance. There's shady ways of doing it, but a lot of clubs won't do it, because there's no guarantee that you then get the next sale and things like that. Then there's also the factor that Benfica and Madrid are doing kind of a swap in this, right? That wouldn't have worked in this case, so you may not even have a deal with Madrid, where that works there. It just gets very complex. There's other factors in things like this. So that is, to me, pretty much a non-factor, that we could have done it. So yeah, again, just by the way, just because some people coming in late missed it, as I said, no change in the situation around Garnacho, not expected to return to team training, no plans to return to team training, is fine to come back, use the facilities, all of that, but no change in that respect otherwise. Okay. On the sell-on clauses for these players, the way that it works is you get the cash on the same installments as the deal is. So if Madrid are buying Alvaro for 50 million euros paid over 3 years, we will get the installment over 3 years. The PSR benefit we get right away. So this is how every sale works, by the way. If we sell a player for 20 million and it's paid over 5 years, you can count the 20 million right away. but you get the cash over whatever the installments are. They're separate issues. There's the cash issue, the PSR issue. From a PSR perspective, Alvaro gives us like 9 million euros, 7.6 million pounds on PSR right away to spend, like a 7.6 million profit, which is not insignificant. That is an entire player's wages of a signing. That's as much wages as, for a year of wages anyway, or that's as much as a 40 million player in terms of a purchase. So it's not bad. Oyedele, same story there. We get 2.5, 3 million euros. We can count it right away. Ilanga, same thing there. We get a chunk of money. We can count it right away. However, it's given to us in cash. So, yeah, really, we're receiving somewhere close to 20 million euros in profit on these sell-ons over the next few days that we can count. When the halftime, the thing is there's probably anything can be negotiated, right? Halftime, like there's probably sell-ons where it's negotiated a different way. My understanding is the default is the payment structure is done at the same payment structure as the sale for a sell-on. So all of that. So 20 million euros comes in. That's pretty decent. I mean, maybe they were counting on some of this as a part of their spending, but it does help us from a PSR perspective. The problem you have to a degree is cash, okay? The problem you have to a degree is the cash issue. It doesn't give us a ton of money on cash right away. We might get some. Think a third of that maybe we could get on that, like 6 million or something like that in terms of cash that we could get right away. The problem is we're not 100% on the exact issue in the structure with Mbumo here in Brentford, for example, because Darmasheth yesterday said that a problem was they want a lot of the money up front. Well, the language on that is unclear, and I wish it was a little bit more clear what he was reporting. Does that mean they want more guaranteed? Like out of 62.5 million, you want not 55 million guaranteed, but 60 million guaranteed with a couple add-ons, small add-ons. You want the full 62.5 guaranteed. Are you talking guaranteed, or are you saying they want 60 million in cash for the guaranteed fee? They want the cash up front. No installments. They want it all done immediately. Because if that's the problem, we just can't do that. That is a problem. That is a serious issue from a cash perspective. That is a serious issue from a cash perspective. That's difficult to deal with because then you have to borrow, 40, 50 million, which is a lot if you don't have other sales coming in, right? Bringing cash in the door. So, that is definitely, one of the potential hangups on this. This is what, Laurie said today on the Paddock video there. Kind of confirming what we were hearing initially last week, or maybe it's almost 2 weeks ago, beginning of last week, I think it was. What he said here is, I still think it'll happen. It's just that United have overpaid for players in the past, and Ratcliffe has an agenda to change that. The club also feel like they should do that. It's prudent. They've made people redundant. At the same time, they're spending money, which is probably cumulatively the gap for Mbumo. I do think the Glazers might still have some oversight on this as well. They are the majority owners. A couple of points there. A couple of points there. Number one, I can't believe Laurie's making excuses for Ineos. I always knew Athletic were on the Ineos payroll. They've been so positive on Ineos from day one. Always reported really positively on Ineos. So I can't believe they're explaining the situation with any kind of logic. That must mean that he's on the payroll. That's how it works. If you explain something, you're on the payroll. I don't make the rules. That's how it works. And we all know that the Athletic and all of them have been super, super positive, needlessly positive on the ownership. We know that. So, when I see Laurie this summer on the summer tour in Chicago, I'll make sure to check what kind of watch he has, because I hear they like giving watches out. So I'll check what kind of watch he has. So you better, I got my eyes on you, Laurie. I want to see that watch. If it costs more than $50, payroll. I know it. Okay? I got my eyes on you, Laurie. You can't use any kind of logic. You're not allowed to do that. um if his hair is extra gelled, this is not an insult. I do the same thing. He's got great hair. If his hair is extra gel in it, I will know he's got money in the bank. Okay? He's got money in the bank. Getting paid. Yes, this is sarcasm. Yes, this is sarcasm, to be extremely clear. This is extreme sarcasm. Extreme sarcasm. Let's see your watch. I don't wear a watch. Nobody pays me enough money to wear a watch. He's rolling up in a grenadier, yeah. It's funny. What do you say, Moretto? Anyway, look, we need to get Mbumo over the line. To be clear now, he is, let's see my Ineos truck. I drive an Audi. I drive an Audi. I'll happily show you a picture of it. I drive an Audi, a plug-in hybrid. Oh, Tubby.
Ooh,
How you doing, buddy?
down.
Good to see you back again.
Okay.
Sup, bruh?
I drive an Audi. I drive an Audi, a plug-in hybrid. Yeah. My English sense of humor is growing. Yeah. Love to see Laurie. I mean, maybe I'll ask to record something this summer with Laurie. I'll be there for like most of the summers on the tours. I've only been there for like a day. I'm gonna be there for like 5 days this time, so I should get a little more time. Cool. I see that on Rashford. I see that on Rashford. Howdy, that's an Ineos payroll car. It is what it is, man. No, believe it or not, I have a job. I've had a job always. I've had a job this entire time. I have a job. I know, it's crazy. I have a whole career and a whole life. It's unbelievable. No. The Glazers drive Mercedes. We know that. We've seen the cars that they rent. It's always Mercedes. Gosh, where was I going? So an Mbumo, look, we've got to get it done. Now, to be clear, apparently, it's not about you running a PR, but you've never you're so wrong. I've never criticized his ownership. That is just so wrong. You can go back. I'll give you a date. All right, go back to June. I don't know, any time between June 10th and June 30th or July 5th, all right? Anytime during that month, go back to it. Anytime during that month, go back to it. Anytime during that month, you can go back to it and you can find it. The simple fact is that it criticized them. Oh, you can also go back to the first international break during last season when I said they needed to rectify their mistake and change the manager, and they didn't. And they didn't, and they still didn't. You can find plenty of times. It's just, some people are capable of having two thoughts in their head at the same time. That's kind of crazy. It's a Q5 plug-in hybrid. It's a 2022 Q5 plug-in hybrid. But look, on Mbumo, we do have to get him done. Now, apparently, he's only due for training on Monday. So I guess we haven't lost any training time yet until Monday. So if we want to be literal on this, we've not wasted any days of training on Mbumo until money. Until Monday. Money's on the brain. So that's what we've got to do. Why have you never criticized? I know it's like someone saying that, like, just you can fire. Okay. Yeah. Manager thinks because you didn't like him in the first place. So I wasn't like paid to not like Eric Ten Hag. I just didn't like him. I just didn't like him. He would be back today if we'd signed him. No, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe. Maybe that's true. Yeah, they're paying someone with 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, and I only had like 15 when this started because the takeover was a big part of the growth of the channel. So yeah, it's not necessarily a sound investment. I know there are people who would gladly take money and chill out opinions that have no basis in fact. But it's not me, fortunately. But I can point people in the right direction for that. Yeah, moving on from that, we've got to get him done pretty quickly. No doubt about that. Wait until like 7:30 p.m. GMT on Sunday to announce a movie. That would be nice. That would be nice. I didn't say anybody. I just said there's there was people I remember. Do you guys remember the Chat GPT like pro Qatar stuff during the ownership? Some of that stuff that came out during that time. Do you guys remember that? That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny to me. That was pretty funny. I've never sucked up to the Glazers in my life. I've relentlessly ripped into the Glazers. The whole point of everything that is happening today is because of them. Everything that is happening today is because of them. Everything. The thing is that you can acknowledge that. Know that that's why. What is amusing to me is how many people are letting them off the hook. How many people are letting them off the hook right now? How many people are sitting there going, why aren't we signing 8 players and spending 300 million? Ineos' fault. You by doing so, you are doing PR for the Glazers. You're doing that. Every time you do that, you're doing PR for the Glazers. You're letting them off the hook. We can't spend that money because of them. We can't do the type of business we should and need to be able to do because of them. Don't let them off the hook. They're the reason we are in this mess. And nobody else. They are the cause of all of it. That is the reason. So no, the best thing that could happen is for them to be gone. Nothing else. That's all. That's the truth of it. Won't be a live stream without me picking up the mic and doing ASMR. I know. What happened to your green, yellow, red system of targets? You did it last time we signed 0 autos. I mean, that's not true. We signed like 3. There was like 3 names on that list that we signed. But I didn't do that list this year because I overestimated the average IQ of United fans. It was a list of all the targets linked by media, by me, by everybody. That's all it was. It was a list of every target United were linked to, not my information. And apparently that was too much. All right. The live is useless. Goodbye then. You can come back afterwards. Too much to understand for people to grasp. So that's why. Your IQ is super low, to be fair. I know. It's okay. I overestimated. I need to know my audience. I gotta know my audience. Unfortunately, I missed the mark on that one, guys. I missed the mark. The 63 players on that list, I said we were signing all of them. I missed the mark, everyone. My bad. My bad. My bad. My fault. My fault. All right, let's find this Moretto thing because I want to talk about some sales. Because there's a couple of different things to discuss here. What is Matteo Moretto? I can never spell this guy's name. What is wrong with me? Moretto? Matteo. Someone send this to me. I for some reason, every single time I look for this guy's tweet, I can't find it. Actually, you know what? Somebody's already aggregated it. That makes it. All right, let's take a look. Oh, you know why? It's because his name is Matteo and his handle is Mate. Okay? So every time I type the O and it doesn't find him. Every single time I type Matteo and it doesn't find him. You South African blood, you real dude. Thank you. Thanks, Macmillan. No, I'm avoiding the rage baiters. I'm happy. We're chilling. We're chilling. You can just mute YUFC because he can't think with the days in a week or doesn't know what year it is, so he might be confused here. All right, Barcelona continues to keep Marcus Rashford file open. New contacts are expected in the coming days. Hansi Flick has given the green light to his arrival. Rashford prioritizes Barcelona and the negotiation could progress in the coming weeks. It is a live option that may become increasingly more concrete. Okay, so this one is moving forward. That is good. That is good to know. That's good to see. This is good. This is good stuff. All right. So as we know, Rashford to Barcelona is a serious topic that continues to kind of move forward and hopefully is one that will get done. Alone on that will be a big difference. There's this one as well I wanted to speak about here. Moretto's good though, Andy. Moretto is good. Moretto is good. Why are we asking for a loan when they can ask them to pay up 40 million? The reason is, I agree with you on that, but the reason is they're dicking us because of the wages, and because Nico Williams is a younger player, all of that, and everything. So it's just what it is. We need the money off, and so again, it's sort of like this, right? Just because we want to pay, like if we want to pay 60 million for Mbumo, and we walked off to an alternative, let's say the alternative was Dibbling, would we pay 60 for Dibbling? No, of course not. We wouldn't pay that. We wouldn't do that because it's not the same player, right? It's not the same player, not the same situation. They want to hold us to it because they think they can get him for free later on. Essentially, is the way that I understand it. They're gonna sweat us. That's been the case for quite a long time. They're gonna sweat us. Yeah. Then there's this one. Simon Stone as well confirming Real Betis returned for preseason yesterday, but Antony remains in Brazil. Club still hopeful of a positive conclusion. Okay. Oh boy.
People crashing out about MGW. If Mumo was RC, we'd have signed him already.
True.
James with sell-on clauses, will that help finalize Mumo next week?
Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Drink water, James. Smiley face emoji. Keep
Thank
the
you.
stream positive PLS. Folded hands emoji. Smash the like eyes. Flexed biceps emoji.
Thanks for that. Yeah, Nick, the money probably does help us, but we were kind of talking about like it helps us on PSR, but it doesn't necessarily give us the cash. So the issue becomes, what is the cash issue here with Brentford? Is it cash? Is it purely just the principle of the valuation that they want us to bend and sell them for 70 million? They want 70 million, and we're just not going to pay 70 million. Do they keep moving and changing? Look, they bullshit. Look at how much bullshit has come out. Like, I'm just going to do this again, frankly, because I talked about this last night. People saying that Brentford have not been changing the stakes on this. They've not been moving. They absolutely have. Look at what they've done on this. As much as United have to get this deal done, let's look at it really. Really. They bullshitted a fake Spurs bid at 70 million. Completely false. Briefed it to local journalists. Totally fake. Right? Then, in the last few days, they've been briefing a fake bid from Tottenham again for Wissa. What the hell's going on here? Meanwhile, Tottenham are buying two completely different players. They've been playing so many games with this deal that I think the genuine concern here is that they're just not gonna, is that we don't actually know what becomes acceptable on this. And that's essentially the problem here. We really don't know what is acceptable from Brentford's perspective because they're completely fucking around on this. It was Forest that made the bid, and it was for 25 million, less than half of what they were asking for the player. You know what I mean? And it's like, what is this, man? Like, meanwhile, Tottenham are buying totally different players. It's crap. They've done enormous amounts of crap on this. And so it's like, all right, fine. So I think there is a principle on this. There is a matter of principle.
Only had problems selling players they never bought.
Yeah, correct as well in the sales. It's a matter of principle. That's just like, as well, do we just we go bid 60 plus 5. I believe we're willing to. I believe we've been willing to for 2 weeks. Then they're going to reject that and say, well, actually, maybe we go for 70 now. But you know what? Actually, we want the money up front. Instead, no installments, even though Cunha was over installments. Maybe that will happen. That's been the situation. Well, Tottenham are offering us 70, so you have to match 70. Well, Tottenham are going to buy Wissa, so we're actually not going to sell Mbeumo anymore. There's dicking around and there's dicking around. It's like, this is why we essentially need Mbeumo to kick up a bit of a fuss.
Everything's
frankly.
Okay.
What keeps Brentford from not selling at the end? The only thing would be if Mbeumo is genuinely okay with not getting his move, and it's no big deal. So, we've got to move it ahead. And again, I think it'll still happen. Everybody does think it'll still happen. Laurie still thinks it'll happen. I think those are good sources who think it'll happen. From everybody's conversations, everybody thinks it'll happen, and we're working on it. So, I still think it'll happen, but they have absolutely been playing games, on this. The problem with it is this, and I explained this yesterday. Okay, is that very clearly, and here's where I want to ask you guys as viewers, and I want to poll it because I'm not an authoritarian, dictator here. I like to share what I believe is an educated opinion and see what happens. Here's my question to you on this. All right, 120 million maybe is what we had to spend. All right, let's say we get Mbeumo in the end, because I think we will. Obviously, I've made that caveat 633,000 times at this point. With that caveat in the end, with the 120 million that's happened here, that we have essentially in the offer, in the budget, is there a better way what else could be done that would be better than getting Cunha and Mbeumo in the door? That's my question for you. What would be better than getting Cunha and Mbeumo in the door? Like, if we were to walk away from Mbeumo to something else with the money, where could we spend it better at the moment? That's my question. Because like I said, I'm trying to be logical. And his Cameroon coach said he is frustrated by the slowness of it. So I'm going to end this poll, and I'm going to ask you a question. It's not Osimhen. You can't do Osimhen. You cannot do Osimhen. Okay? You can't do Osimhen. Again, think about the math here. Osimhen costs you 15 million more a year in costs. 15 million more a year in wages. That's basically 75 million more in transfer fee. So you're talking about 150 million in transfer fee in terms of equivalent costs. Balaba is not going anywhere for 60 million. So I'm gonna poll it. I'm curious. For the 60 million, is there a better option than Mbeumo? I think the closest shout that I can see is getting someone like Watkins and then moving Bruno up. But then you still do need a midfielder. So you don't have that you haven't solved the midfielder thing with your money still. Xavi Simons, I don't think Xavi Simons is better. That's my opinion. I don't think Xavi Simons is better. Go out for Max Down. We're not going to get Max Down, unfortunately. I mean, look at what's been sold for 60 million, by the way. Ilanga, Gibbs White, Kudus, João Pedro. In terms of like similar positions. Rios and Dumfries? I mean, fair play if you think that, but you're talking quite a bit different. Sure, buy in a different position. So who's going to give us better players? Madueke? Yeah, Madueke. Rios has never played in Europe. So like, there's not many better than Mbeumo for the price, yeah. He's a decent player, but he's not better than Mbeumo. Watkins and Ederson, but that's double the money, So, all right. So look, on the poll, 79% say no, there's no better option, okay? So the majority of people agree, and fair enough. Look, I explained this yesterday because someone asked a decent question about this like Bruno situation. Like when we didn't try to sell Bruno, right? We didn't push him out the door. He turned the move down too, for what it's worth, but we didn't like push him out and say, okay, we got to be sold. And he said, they told me they can get the money from elsewhere and things like that. United made a decision, right, at that point in time, right or wrong. United made a decision at that point in time, which was, we keep Bruno. We buy players who are proven, who are going to make an immediate impact in the team. You buy players who are going to make an immediate impact in the team and who are going to get us back up into the European positions. That's what you do. Okay? That was the decision that they made. They could have gone a different route. They could have gone the route of, let's take this budget that we have, this 60 million, 120 million that we have, and spread it around. We'll buy young players. That's what I thought they were going to do coming into the window, or at least that's what it looked like, because that was one possibility of what they were going to do, is to go the young route. Start over. Tear it all down and go young and spread that money around. Now, the truth of it is, if we did that, we're not getting it back into Europe for 2 years. And we have to accept that. I don't think United fans can. United fans can't accept 10 days without a transfer. Okay? So they cannot accept doing that. They decided better to just go for more proven players, keep Bruno, and get players who will hit the ground running and make an impact. And that it would be better to get 2 really good players who will hit the ground running, who will come in right away and will help us get up the table, that can also be here. This is one important point, I think, to me. That can also be here when we want to be competing for titles. Because Cunha and Mbeumo are the age and the profile and the accomplishments to be players that could be in a title-winning team. They are 2 of the best attackers. For their position, they're 2 of the best 1 to 3 attackers in the league. Okay? So that's the decision that they made. That means we may only get a few signings right now, and then the goal is that they're good enough that it gets us up the table, and gets us back into Europe so we can spend more.
Calm down. Everything's okay.
If Brentford increase price, surely Mumo pushes.
Oh, you would hope so, yes. Well, that's part of it. That's why I say we need help from his side. And look, like I want to there's people who said like, "Oh my god, you're moving the goalposts or what have you from, months ago." I did a video. I'm going to show this. I showed this last night for people who missed it. I did a video back in April, okay, saying what I thought this summer was going to look like, right? So this isn't me being insanely positive. This is like what I thought we were going to do, or the direction that we were going to go, or what I predicted we would be able to do financially was pretty disgusting, to be quite honest. Let's take a look. There you go. Okay. This was from a video months ago. I thought we'd get Delap, someone like Dibbling, and a keeper. And that was our money. I thought that's what we could get done this summer. So if you were to tell me, would you rather have this, that, or we've gone for Cunha and Mbeumo? Again, 633,001 first time, considering we get Mbeumo over the line. I would take Cunha and Mbeumo a million times over that, because this is what I thought we were going to need to do. Just get young players in and suffer really bad for another season, get more young players in, and what the fuck? And pray, what the hell? And pray that it worked out. It's a horrible team. Yeah, I mean, I was coping at the time, like hoping. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought we were going to have to do, though. So I haven't, so if you ask me why am I not insanely negative, well, that's why, all right? Because they've made a decision to go for more proven players and get some serious players in the door. One in Cunha already, obviously, and if we get Mbeumo in. So yeah, I think it's about accepting reality. So when I look at what could have been, I look at it and I go, could have been a hell of a lot worse, given where we are as a club, given where we are as a team, given the reality of our situation. It could have been significantly worse, right? So no, I don't sit there and say, shit, I'm lowering the standards of the team and all of that kind of stuff. Not at all. The fact that we're in the race for Mbeumo, and again, 633,000 in second time, considering we do get it over the line, we've done a lot better than I thought we would do this summer. And I'm happier to get fewer players and then be that good. And then I want to show you this that I did a video on as well. All right, last one, I promise. My PowerPoint's coming in clutch here. Okay, our front three. Why did we finish so low in the table? Right? Why did we finish so low in the table? This would have been the reality if it wasn't for Emram telling them to wake up and to raise their standards. Maybe, but that was also his job. That's good leadership. Hire a manager to give you an honest assessment of what's happening and what is needed. They hired Emram. He gave him an honest assessment and said, we can't afford to go the young route. We need to get some proven players in the team. And that was his assessment. Okay. This was the numbers last season. All right, I think this was maybe, I don't know if anybody scored in the final couple games or something, but this was like late April or something like that. I don't remember when I did this video. Maybe it was early May, but it was right near the end of the season. Okay. And the reason we finished so low in the table was goals. Okay. It was goals. 11 Premier League goals was scored by our most minutes in the front three. Okay. 11. You compare it to other teams. We were 19th in the league in goals scored by our front three with the most minutes. 19th in the league. Okay. The only team that scored fewer goals was Southampton in the league last season from their front three. Leicester scored more goals from their front three. Ipswich scored more goals. Delap alone scored more goals than our front three. Ineos will not fail on Mbumo due to fan crash out. Well, you might be right. West Ham, more goals in their front three. Wolves, you can see kind of a spike there. That's Cunha. Everton, more goals. Palace, more goals. And then Brentford, you can see that's Mbumo and Wissa, more goals. That's the rest of like the bottom. What is that? Yeah, that's the rest of the bottom half, bar Tottenham. Okay. That's how bad it is. Now, here's the crazy part. United had the fifth most goals, okay, from the rest of their team in the entire league. The fifth most goals from the rest of their team, meaning the non-starting three forwards. Guys playing at wing back like Ahmad, Bruno even from playing deep. The center backs, Casemiro, the other players involved. And you saw that in the Europa League run. There was a point at the end where we had 12 goals scored in a row, and only 2 were from a forward, which was Xerxes, who scored both. And that was like over 6 Europa games during the knockouts. 12 goals scored, only 2 were from forwards, because Bruno was playing deep when that happened. This was based on who played the most minutes in the front three, by the way. The most minutes in the front three, by the way. But regardless, we were actually pretty good outside of the front three. Okay? That's the truth of it. And that was the assessment made by the club as well. So you take the goals scored by Cunha and Mbumo alone, for example, and you're talking about a team that goes from scoring 40-something goals. Well, the teams in the top 8, most of them scored between 55 and 65 goals. You only need 15 more goals to be in the top 8 and in the top and competitive in the top 6 from a scoring perspective. Okay? So United obviously recognized this and said, great, better to just spend our money here and do all of that. And then you have to factor in the other parts of this. That's true, right? how much better in all phases of play is Cunha and Mbumo than Garnacho and Højlund? Answer me that. Because you're talking about build-up, you're talking about creativity, you're talking about chance creation for others, talking about, carrying the ball, receiving the ball. Every single facet of their game is better on top of the fact that they create and score a lot of goals. Cunha and Mbumo, who are both top in the league for goals and chances created. They do both. Okay? They are better at every single facet of the game than them as well. So the impact, I believe, will be huge in that respect. So that is a huge factor in this whole thing. You're better in the first phase than Rasmus.
Ooh,
Probably
calm
true.
down. Everything's okay.
We should have sacrificed Bruno. We are going lose so much midfield battle with him.
Look, we'll see. I like I say, I have concerns. I've got concerns on that aspect of it personally. I've got concerns. I'm not gonna, say it's not gonna work because I can't predict the future. And Bruno is a good player. Bruno adjusted more than I thought he would be able to last season. He changed his game more than I thought was possible last season. So I'm not going to claim that it won't work, but I have those concerns as well. Does that work, or does that bite us in the long term? So it's a concern for me. Let's see what happens. That's up to the job of Ruben Amorim to get that right and to make it work. Okay, that's what he's got to do. But these are, top targets that we're going for. So look, like the reason I shared all of that, the reason I showed you the earlier prediction on the whole thing is because, simply put, that's why I feel decent about where things are going. That's all. It's better than I thought it would be. Am I happy with the state that Manchester United are in? Absolutely fucking not. But that's also reality. And given the state that we were in, I'm a little more positive than others, because I think it's going in the right direction. In there, I think it's going in the right direction, and it's doing better than expected. Back to the kind of the original point that I actually wanted to speak about here was Antony. Talked a lot about Real Betis and Antony. Simon Stone put this tweet out. He also put out an article. There is still talks ongoing between Betis and United over Antony. Betis are still wanting the deal done. Antony's going to stay and train in Brazil until it happens. So I think everybody's doing the right thing here to get this deal done. As we saw, good reports on Barcelona opening up talks with Rashford, or be doing more discussions over Rashford in the coming days.
Everything's okay.
Just imagine the impact of Cunha, Watkins, and Mbeumo front three.
Yeah.
Fire emoji.
Huge, absolutely huge. And yeah, they gotta get. Getting a striker in like that, massive to me. Still, I hope we do it. We should do it. I would consider it a serious success should we get 3 forwards in like that. I would definitely consider that a serious success. So they want to make this happen. Barcelona want to make the Rashford thing happen. The Sancho thing is still complicated, as we know, whether or not Juventus are actually going to move forward with the deal. I covered that again yesterday in the live to clear up the points that I was making on that, which is that one, like I said, Juventus know what the cost would be for United. United's priority is to recoup as much money as possible on that deal. Juventus know what the cost would be for Jadon Sancho on that. They have all the conditions of the deal understood. They haven't done anything on it yet in terms of putting a submission in for the deal. They haven't actually, done it yet. And they haven't necessarily decided to, because I'm not sure they're thrilled about the conditions of the deal. So, that one is still sticky you know? That one is definitely still sticky. So there's that aspect of it. These sales got to move for us to get a striker, no doubt about that. They've got to move, but there's things they are moving slow. There's not much more we can do to speed these deals up. That's the truth of the situation. A lot of these clubs are obviously looking at a situation where they're trying to sweat us, let it go later in the window, try to get the best deal possible. The problem is this: United can't. That's what I think some of these clubs have to get. United aren't being greedy about their requests for these players. United cannot take a loss on these players, on the disposing of these players. They cannot lose money. We can't afford it. You know, we're not going to. So that has to be understood. You know, by the buying clubs as well, no doubt. And you know, it's not about greed from United, and they're not holding the deals up or anything like that. So, yeah. Those are going to take a little bit of time. I don't think we'll have more than 2 signings before the tour, but I do think we'll get Mbeumo before the tour. But I think that'll be it before the tour. Maybe we could get that John Victor guy in too, you know, but I think a lot of the sales will happen in late July, early August, you know, all of that. I think that's when. Now, some of them are trying to push to get it done earlier. Good for them. Hopefully that happens. But yeah, that's what I think in that respect. In terms of, you know, the speed of things, yeah, I mean, I get it too. At the same time, as I said, our first signing last summer was July 14th. We still signed 5 players. So we gotta, you know, we're gonna probably get fewer players, but hopefully better players, because we just don't have the money to get more. Last summer we don't need that many players right now because it's 1 a week. You know, that's kind of the deal. Why give players power? They have the power, contractually the power. You can't force them into a move. Last summer we spent 70, 112, 150, plus another 50. We spent over 200 million.
Calm
We can't do
down.
that.
Everything's
right now.
okay.
Bro, assuming we get all sales we need, who do you think we can sign? Also good to see you, bro.
Yeah, thank you, Toby. I think that assuming, who do you think we can sign? I think that is definitely, you know, Mbeumo, Watkins as the most likely striker, and then Jean Victor. Now, if we sell everybody, Sancho, Antony, that kind of depends how who else is included in that. Like if that includes Højlund, but like if we were to sell Sancho, Antony, Rashford, and Garnacho, we probably get that midfielder too. I don't know who that name is though, but we probably get that midfielder as well. Madueke to Arsenal, is that done? 50 million with we agreed in excess of 50 million pounds with add-ons included. Woof. Oof. Remember when I said that Madueke was better than Garnacho on here and most people disagreed with me? Someday you'll come around to my way of thinking. Someday. That seems like a lot. That one seems like a bit of a strange deal to me. The Madueke to Arsenal one, though. That one does seem a bit strange. We'll see how that works out. They still don't have Gyökeres in the door, by the way. We'll see how that one works out. I like Madueke. I think he's a good player, but who is he replacing? Where is he going to play? Is he going to replace Martinelli? He's definitely better than Martinelli, but we'll see. I think it is a bit of a crazy fee for sure. For him, I think he's good, but it's a strange deal. And they have Nwaneri. It's a bit of a strange deal, but interesting how Arsenal didn't consider Garnacho. Interesting how nobody's considering Garnacho. The Napoli talks were fake, the ones reported yesterday. So, yeah. Madueke's not better than Garnacho, though. Well, the entire world of football seemed to think so. But, hey, it is what it is. Is a striker dependent on Højlund going? Not necessarily Højlund going, but others going. If Arsenal don't sign Gyökeres, can you see him coming to United? Yeah. He would still be open to it if he doesn't join Arsenal, but Yeah. But it is a lot of money. The market is crazy. It's like 50. But the thing is like everybody's being sold for 50 to 60 million. So yeah. Anyway, United have to get a move on. They have to get a move on Mbumo. They have to get Mbumo on the tour. But I believe it'll. I still believe it'll happen. I still believe it'll happen. Mbumo on the tour. I still believe that'll happen. Barcelona in talks for Rashford. Garnacho's situation has not changed. Not returning to team training. No change in that side of it. Antony in Brazil waiting for Betis. Sancho waiting for Juventus decision. There are other clubs that have inquired that talks could move to, but we really got to hope that Juventus now follow through on that. And that's it. And that's it. We've got some money. We've got some money from Elanga, Alvaro, and Oyedele coming. Hopefully that helps push us over the line right now on Mbumo. We got to get that done, man. We really do have to get that done. I'm my whole line of thinking is still predicated on that we get Mbumo done. Then it all makes sense to me. Then I think we've spent our 120 better than anybody else has if we get that done. It's all predicated on that. We got to get that one over the line. And then it all starts to make a lot of sense. And then I think we're doing well for ourselves, regardless of that. So, okay, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be back. Again, just being clear in case you did miss it, there was no change on the Garnacho situation. He's not returning to team training. He's returning to Carrington to train, as with anybody else who of the 5 people who've been frozen out. Essentially, they're not in team training. Okay, see you later, everyone. Goodbye.